So, you want to know what it's like to be crazy? Let's talk about it. Okay, so let's get introductions out of the way. My name is Andrew. I've been schizophrenic for about 10 years now. Whole decade of my life gone to shit. Officially diagnosed and put on medication about, I would say, 7 years ago. Before that, I was just a normal dude. Went to college for engineering. Did not finish, obviously, because I couldn't at that point. It wasn't happening. After diagnosed, my life went to shit. My longtime girlfriend kicked me out because I was having problems, and I basically, like I said, I gave up on everything. I stopped showering, I stopped doing everything. And then eventually, I had to get my life back in order. Part of that actually was I started donating my body, I guess you'd say, my mind to research. I've been a part of 6 or 7 studies now for schizophrenia, medication, behavioral studies, all sorts of stuff. Check it out. Which one's fatter? It's this guy, 15 pounds more, I think. I don't know, but always got a fat head. At this point, I kind of just wanted to help other people because obviously I'm not doing anything else with my life. But it seems like for now, medication's gone as far as it can go. Everyone seems to be struggling with the magic cure. So that leads me to this video and subsequent videos, hopefully. I figured I would talk to everyone about hey, everyone wants to know what it's like to be crazy. Because everybody's seen a crazy person screaming at them on the street, or they have that aunt who went nuts, or basically any of that. But for now, what I want to do is just talk about hey, what is schizophrenia? Kind of give hammer in some of the basics of it's this, it's not this, and then we'll go from there. So first, schizophrenia is a mental illness. A lot of people now think that has to do with a disorder of the dopamine in your brain. There's a lot of research on what exactly is going on, whether it's modified dopamine, if it's too much, if it's too little, if the receptors are messed up, but they kind of have it narrowed down to that point. I've heard a lot of times people oh, it all seems so negative, and it's yes, but that's not quite what it means. Positive refers to anything that's added, so hallucinations or what are delusions, but most people just have paranoia. So that's things thinking people are out to get you, thinking things are in your body. Hallucinations is most commonly hearing voices. In fact, generally, if you hear voices, you're pretty much guaranteed to have schizophrenia or one of the other schizophrenic disorders, such as schizoid or schizoaffective, which I'm not super up to date on what exactly those entail. Or I guess the other option is you're fucking taking PCP, or you haven't slept in 2 days. But on top of that, there are others. A lot of people see things. That's a lot more uncommon, and extremely uncommon is tasting, smelling, or feeling a sense of touch. Negative symptoms are actually called negative because they're taken away from your normal functioning, as opposed to positive being added to your normal functioning. A lot of people, when they hear them, they immediately think oh yeah, I've got that. That's depression. But no. I think a lot of the medical things, for testing, you use the 5 A's or something. So it's Anhedonia, which is inability to feel any more pleasure. Avolition, which is no motivation. For some reason, I'm forgetting the others. Wow, I am really blanking hard right now. Ooh. But I can basically go through those. So the first is Anhedonia. That's really fun because it's basically the inability to feel things that enjoyable that used to. That kind of hit me. The thing with a lot of symptoms, both positive and negative, are they're kind of on a scale from day to day, and it's some days it's really bad, Some days it's not bad at all. And it's not like they're all or nothing. There's like 10 knobs being adjusted one at a time. Like, oh, you're really crazy today, but hey, you're really enjoying like yelling at people. I don't know. There's basically what I'm saying is that like you never know what the next day is gonna hold. In fact, you never really know what the next hour is gonna hold, which is super cool and makes it really fun to go out in public. The big one that basically ruins people's lives is avolition, which is like the inability to like want to do anything. For instance, I thought of this video like 6 months ago, and this whole cool idea. I am just now filming it because, yeah, the motivation is it's just really not there. One of the really crappy things is like, it's basically like, imagine like all the things in your life that like it takes to function normally, like, you know, paying bills, getting up, going places on time, going to the store and buying food, I don't know, like saying hi to your family and like checking in and going to doctor's appointments. Like, think about all that and then just like imagine caring. You don't. And that's really crappy. And it's one of the main reasons like my life has gone to shit for the last 10 years. It takes a lot to do anything, and it's more of a like, I need to do this or my life is over right now, versus like, oh, I really should do this. Like, all of my bills are paid via like automatic withdrawal. I just put all my money in at the beginning of the month, and then it just takes out when it needs to, because I can't handle it otherwise. So that's cool. For some reason, I'm really forgetting the other A's, but I can just go through some of the other symptoms. This is really cool because real informative. For instance, there's things like the inability to express emotions on your face. I get this a lot, but I don't have it right now, obviously. Things like monotone voice. A lot of the times what's really weird is that like I can feel emotion and I think like I feel like I'm smiling, but in reality it doesn't. Like, your face doesn't actually do anything. I don't know. They're still kind of looking into what that is. There's a lot of weird things with schizophrenia of like, oh, this part of your brain is doing what it's supposed to be doing and it's sending the signal, and this part of the brain is just not getting it. And so it's like, oh, you think you are, but you're not. That's awesome. And I've probably had like 20 fights at least with my girlfriend about like, what's wrong? And it's apparently I'm in a bad mood, but you know, I don't feel like I am, but my face says that I am. Another one, it's another A, involves the inability to actually like do emotions very well. And this one is very common with me and actually most schizophrenics. But like I said, it comes and goes because I know I just mentioned having emotions. You know, and a lot of people are like, oh, you sound like, you know, that sounds like depression. And so like, if you think about depression and it's like, oh, I'm sad all the time and I feel worthless and I don't want to do anything. And I don't want to get out of bed. And like, you have all these negative thoughts about yourself. Well, it's nothing like that. It's actually, like nothing. The most common ways that schizophrenics say they feel is that they're totally empty. There's a void. It's a weird feeling that I can't really describe well, but it's like, it's just the inability to feel like, say someone like tries to like purposely piss you off, like you might be like, oh, okay, that's irritating, but nope. I'm pretty sure that like, if somehow I had a kid, God help me, if they like, oh, it's your son's first steps, I'd be like, yep, sure is. There's nothing there. And the worst part about it is that at the time, obviously you don't care, but when you start to feel things again and you think about those feelings or lack thereof, that's one of the main things that drives schizophrenics to kill themselves, which is like this total inability to like have empathy and connect with others. I know a lot of the time when I feel like that, what I do is like pick at people. It's weird. The best way to describe it is like, you know what it's like to feel things, and so you're like desperately like trying to reach out and grasp, but it's always slipping through your fingers, and you never really get it back until suddenly out of nowhere you do. And I mean, it can just be like bam, and then within like 30 seconds you're like, I'm feeling something again. It's really terrible, but that's life. You kind of just learn to adapt. So for a lot of the medications, they only deal with the positive symptoms. So that's, like I said, like hearing things and delusions and paranoia. So the worst thing is that there is no medications for negative symptoms currently, which is why so many schizophrenics either relapse into being crazy people that you see on the street, because in their negative symptoms they're like, I shouldn't need to take medication, I don't care, and then this other positive symptoms come back. And at that, when your positive symptoms are going, there's nothing going on upstairs. You're gone. Besides that, there's not much else I want to cover right now. Mostly, I just wanted to kind of give you guys a general rundown of like, hey, what is this ridiculous disease? Next time I can tell you more about my own symptoms. That'll be cool, because schizophrenia is really personal. Each person experiences and thinks crazy in different ways. That I'm actually kind of looking forward to that, because obviously I don't talk about these things to anybody. So it'll be nice to kind of get it all off my chest, and also because everyone's going to be like, holy shit, you are so crazy. Which is cool too. Like I said, I've done a lot of studies, and so I've given a lot of my information out to people, and they're always like, yeah, okay, because they've heard it all, but you don't get to talk about it a lot to normal people, because I wouldn't tell my family or anything like that, because it's fucking nuts. But yeah, that's my cat on the chair. But also, the other reason I made this channel is to open up to questions. So like, hey, if you want to know specifically like what's it like for this thing, or what's it like to hear something, which I will cover, but like if you want to know like what's the craziest thing you've ever heard, or what's it like to take medication, or any of these things, like just ask me. Also, even if you want me to cover something that has almost nothing to do with schizophrenia but related to mental illness in general, I'll cover that too if you want. Basically, if you have a question you want me to answer, just like leave it down in the comments, and I will get to them, so long as they're not like, hey, how fat are you? Which, yeah, I'm fat, but whatever. I might even cover those if I'm bored. But basically, I just want to help everyone else learn, because everyone's curious, whether it be like actual caring curious, or just like a holy shit, what a freak curious. Like, that's what I'm here for, because I think it's kind of cool to help other people. Also, if you liked my video, cool, you can like it. If you don't, dislike it, or like tell me like, oh, you're an idiot, or whatever, I don't care. Just either way, let me know, and hopefully I'll see you guys like next week. Yeah, see ya. So first of all, schizophrenia is a